We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Talking this morning about a great charitable event coming up this weekend that supports 50Forward, which is I guess as it says here, an organization established 60 years ago here in the Middle Tennessee area to provide what they can for seniors and their family members and the like. We have the two guests with us this morning involved with 50Forward is Susan Sizemore. She is the communications director. Thanks for coming on. And Anna Claire Hoffman is with Viva La Diva, which is the big race that's happening this weekend. And the resources, I guess Girl Scouts are involved with that as well, right?
Yes.
What are they going to be doing out there?
The Girl Scouts were excited. For the Viva La Diva race, we typically like to partner with a younger organization that's focused on the younger children, so that we can really create a really cool intergenerational experience and teach the younger demographic kind of more about the aging process and what we do and how they can make an older adult's day just by taking the time to talk to them and really make that connection. They are our 5K race partner, and any of the Girl Scouts that complete the 5K course, they will receive a special Viva La Diva patch at the end of the race, and they'll also be there will be 2 Girl Scout tents set up on the race site, and that's where Girl Scouts will be making some card favors and tray favors for our Meals on Wheels clients and Adult Day Services clients, so that will kind of brighten their day a little bit down the road and really just teach them more about what we do.
Great. All right, listen, let's get some more phone calls. The number 737-7587. If you just want to have a question about 50Forward, if you're just joining us, we'll let them recap a bit about what services they may provide and what maybe you have a question about them. Let's go to Rick, or rather Brian. Brian, good morning.
Morning.
Hey,
hi, buddy.
What's up, Brian? What's going on? How old are you, Brian?
Oh, I just turned 51. I know Susan from the Nashville Retrospect, and the reason I was calling is 60 years. That's a lot of history.
Yep.
Maybe they could talk a little bit more about the history of it and how it was founded. And I've noticed that Nashville, it seems like you have a very young population, a lot of transient, young people come in and try to make an industry. It seems like the older population is kind of being pushed out, so it's helpful to have organizations like this. I moved way out to the country, but maybe talk a little bit more about the history of the organization.
Great. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it, Brian. You touched some on that, but yeah, what was the idea? Do you know much about how it all started really 60 years ago?
Well, I wasn't there when it was, but I do know that when the organization was founded, it was called Senior Citizens, Inc., and so we had a strong presence in the downtown area, and then I think as the need grew for more centers and the opportunity throughout Middle Tennessee presented with facilities for us to really I guess, put up either a brick and mortar presence or activities in certain communities, we just seized that opportunity where we knew we had larger populations of older adults. The name change to 50Forward took place about 8 years ago, and that was in part because a lot of people who are part of the boomer generations really didn't want to be called a senior, and the 50Forward concept was a little bit more progressive, a little bit more of an opportunity to get people who might be 50 plus and want resources maybe for their aging parents, their aging siblings, to kind of get them into the loop and more in the know at a younger age. So that's a little bit about the history. And then as Nashville has continued to grow, you mentioned earlier, will we expand? Well, we haven't talked about expanding beyond the Middle Tennessee area. We are acutely aware of the changing population and the fact that there are certain parts of the community that may need more resources for older adults. So those conversations continue to develop, I guess, as the opportunities present themselves, and so as the need arises, we will look for more opportunities as well.
Now, at these centers that you're talking about, you said there's 5 in Davidson County?
Yes.
And so are these ones that individuals can drive to on their own if they don't have access? Are there shuttle services that can get them there? How do they get there? Not everyone, older has the ability to drive, or...
Thank you for asking about transportation, because transportation is certainly, it's a challenge here in Middle Tennessee. Right now, 50Forward is looking for opportunities to expand transportation. Some of our centers, we all have vans, but some of our centers and programs do pick up their clients, and it just depends on the capacity at each center or program, and then it also is contingent on the vehicles that we have. We just did a crowdfunding campaign, the first ever, to buy a bus, really. We wanted to buy vehicles where we could transport people in chairs, because not all of our vans have wheelchair accessible ramps. And through the crowdfunding effort and through some very generous donors, not only at the early end, but also early end we had some significant sponsor donor money, and then we had a lot of people in the community through our social media outreach and other things, some advertising that we did. But the bottom line is we've got 2 new vehicles coming in, and so we're doing our best to try to find new ways to bring people in, but transportation is critical.
Yeah, I didn't know if, there's a public transit, if some of them take the buses, maybe some of them drive on their own.
Yeah.
Now, coming to one of these headquarters or the locations where you're set up, for instance, right now we're in the window where people can get on and start looking at their Medicare Advantage plans. They're in the window of that. If someone, is there a resource for those types of things when they come, or at the very least access to some of these folks who don't have computers, but going online and having someone help them with that?
Absolutely.
See, that's awesome. Now, see, I know there's a lot of organizations to do that, but that's something, you also do that as well?
Sure. In our supportive care division, we have social workers who are specially trained to handle all sorts of queries, but Medicare is one of those. We have a gentleman there who's handled those questions for years,
really?
And it really helps people navigate, as these new things come at you.
Very complex.
Yeah.
And if you want to look for a better plan, maybe for how you go through this, there's organizations with the state that does this that we've talked about, but doing it yourself, you need help on this front. So, and now again, if you pay the $10 membership fee, that service is accessible to you, or is that something that you pay more for when you come to one of the headquarters?
If you pay the $10 membership fee, that gets you into each of our 7 centers. As far as supportive care, we still provide resources for people, such as the sorting through the resources available through the center, through the center and through public services. We also have a division called the care team for people who have the capacity to pay for services. We also do some concierge type services for them as well. So say that your parents are here or say it's someone else since you're here, but say that there's an individual here who doesn't have any family members and you need help getting to the doctor.
Right.
You also need an extra set of eyes and ears. A lot of times older adults, you might not be able to hear as well, or you might not be able to comprehend as much, and so our social workers will accompany people for doctor's appointments, shopping trips, various things like that as well.
Gosh, my folks need that in Oregon. You need to tell me if someone calls because they have, like myself, living here, and I know I have a loved one elsewhere. Are there any resources where you guys deal with, or you can point to, we're not there, 50Forward, and it's not in Eugene, Oregon, I assume. But there's got to be organizations similar. Do you guys ever have any ideas on what those are?
We absolutely will research
that.
I'm
going to pick your brain on that.
Yeah.
All right, listen, we got to take a break on that note. That's great. We'll come back, more of our conversation. We take a few more phone calls if you want to jump in. We're going till 9 o'clock. We'll be back right after this.
Yeah, I wonder if this